Who else used to sneak cookie dough straight from the bowl as a kid? I definitely did, and let's be real, I still do. But now I'm doing it the safe way, with no raw eggs and using flour that's safe to eat, so I can enjoy every bite without worry. Today I'll show you 4 easy and yummy edible cookie dough recipes that come together in minutes. They're soft, rich, and sweet, with that nostalgic doughy texture we all love, and you can easily customize them with your favorite toppings and mix-ins. And while these are fun, sweet treats to indulge in, I'll also show you some simple ways to make them more nutritious using wholesome ingredients, including a couple of high-protein options if that's what you're looking for. Edible cookie dough is also super versatile. You can eat it by the spoonful, roll it into bite-sized snack balls, add it to yogurt with some fruit, or use it as a topping in your ice cream. However you like to eat your cookie dough, these recipes are sure to hit the spot. Let's get into it. Our first recipe is this yummy and classic chocolate chip cookie dough. We're first going to start with 1 cup of flour. When measuring flour, make sure not to scoop it out of the bag directly as this will pack in too much. Instead, spoon the flour into a measuring cup and level it off with a knife, or use a kitchen scale for the most accurate results. For this recipe, I'm using all-purpose flour, but we'll need to heat treat this first in order to make it safe to eat, because raw all-purpose flour can contain bacteria. There are 2 ways to do this. You can use a microwave by heating up 1 cup of flour in a microwave-safe bowl for 1.5 to 2 minutes. Just take it out every 30 seconds to give it a quick stir. Or, using an oven, pour 1 cup of flour onto a baking sheet, spread it out into a thin layer, and then bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 to 7 minutes, making sure to stir it halfway through. If you have a thermometer, the flour is ready when it reaches 160 degrees Fahrenheit with either method. Once it hits that temperature, the flour is heat treated and safe to use in our cookie dough. Just let it cool down first before using. It may clump up a bit during baking, so make sure to break up any lumps with a fork or run it through a sifter before using. As a tip, you can heat treat a larger batch at once and store it in an airtight container for future use. Or if you'd rather skip the heat treating step, you can use oat flour or blanched almond flour as a 1-to-1 substitute. Almond flour will give a slightly grittier texture, but both options are gluten-free and work great for cookie dough. As a tip, if you want to make oat flour at home, simply blend rolled oats using a blender until they turn into a fine powder like this. Let's set aside our flour. We're next going to take a large mixing bowl and add half a cup or 1 stick of unsalted butter. Make sure the butter has been softened at room temperature first so it's easy to mix with. Or if you prefer not to use butter, you can also use half a cup of melted coconut oil instead. Opt for refined coconut oil for a milder flavor. Then for our sweetener, let's add half a cup of packed brown sugar along with 2 tablespoons of white sugar. Or you can swap this with 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup or honey. Just add a bit more flour to balance the extra moisture. If you're using a sugar-free option like monk fruit or stevia, just follow the package conversion to get the right amount. We're then going to cream the butter and sugar together using an electric mixer for about a minute until it's well combined. A hand or stand mixer will give you a creamier, fluffier texture by beating in some air, but if you don't have one, that's totally fine. You can mix it by hand with a spatula. It might just take a little bit more effort to get it smooth. Once that's done, add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then mix it again until well combined. Then let's add in our 1 cup of heat-treated flour and give everything a mix for about a minute until it forms into a dough. Again, you can use a spatula if you prefer. Now, if the dough feels a bit too stiff or crumbly, just add in 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk and mix until you reach your desired texture. This will allow you to adjust the cookie dough texture to be softer or firmer depending on what you like. Any kind of milk, including plant-based, works well here. Or if you find the dough too soft or wet, just mix in a bit of extra flour, a tablespoon at a time. Then all we have to do is fold in half a cup of mini chocolate chips, stir it into the dough until it's well distributed, and you're done. This cookie dough is super soft and creamy when it's freshly made, so you can enjoy it right away if you prefer that kind of texture. But I recommend refrigerating it for at least 30 minutes. Not only does it help the dough firm up for that perfect cookie dough consistency, but it also gives the flavors time to deepen and develop, which really enhances the taste. Plus, once it's chilled, it's much easier to scoop and roll into bite-sized balls for a quick grab-and-go snack. This tastes just like that classic chocolate chip cookie dough we all know and love right before it goes into the oven. But here we're using ingredients that make it safe to eat raw. It's the perfect mix of rich, delicious flavor and that nostalgic, slightly gritty cookie dough texture. Whether you enjoy it by the spoonful, rolled into snack-sized bites, or as a topping for yogurt or ice cream. Plus, with a few easy swaps, you can customize it to make it as healthy or as indulgent as you like. And if you ever want to make a smaller or larger batch size, just cut or multiply the ingredients. It's super simple to scale. You can store the cookie dough in an airtight container in the fridge for up to a week, or in the freezer for 2 to 3 months. Just let it thaw before digging in. As a quick tip, I like portioning the dough using a cookie scoop or rolling them into balls before storing. It's great for portion control and saves me time because I don't have to wait for the whole batch to soften before enjoying it. You can get creative with different toppings and flavors. There are so many ways to mix it up. For example, try folding in nuts, seeds, and dried fruit for a tasty trail mix cookie dough, or swirl in some peanut butter and jelly or even Nutella for a rich twist. Crushed pretzels or graham crackers add a nice little crunch. Or mix in some rainbow sprinkles for a birthday cake cookie dough. The possibilities are endless and make this so much fun to experiment with. Our next recipe is a rich, protein-packed peanut butter protein cookie dough. Into a mixing bowl, let's start by adding 3/4 of a cup of blanched almond flour. This flour is higher in protein and gives the dough a bit of a grittier texture. Or you can swap it out with equal parts oat flour or heat-treated all-purpose flour instead. Next, we're going to add half a cup of protein powder. I'm using vanilla flavored here. Keep in mind, different types of protein powder can affect the dough texture because they absorb liquids differently. Whey protein makes it softer and a bit sticky, while plant-based protein tends to make it drier or grittier. That's what I'm using here. Or you can also use casein protein as a good option for a thick, scoopable dough. Depending on your protein choice, you might just need to add a little extra milk or flour to adjust as needed. Let's then add 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt and give these dry ingredients a good mix. Then we're going to need half a cup of peanut butter or your choice of nut or seed butter. Just make sure it's soft and runny like this so it's easy to mix with. If it's too firm, you can warm it up in the microwave for about 20 seconds before adding it in. For our sweetener, let's add in 2 tablespoons of maple syrup or honey. Then add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and mix everything well until it forms into a cookie dough. You can use a spatula like I'm doing here or use a hand or stand mixer to make it easier. If the dough feels too crumbly, mix in 1 tablespoon of milk until it's just right. Or if it's too soft and sticky, just add in an extra tablespoon of flour. Then I'm going to stir in my mix-ins. Here I'm using half a cup of mini M&Ms. Let's stir them into the dough until they're well distributed. Again, you can swap this with whatever toppings and mix-ins you like. And that's all there is to it. You can grab a spoon and dig right in and enjoy this right away for a silky soft texture, or refrigerate it for 30 minutes to get a firmer, more moldable dough. Again, the longer you let it chill, the more the flavors deepen and develop. Then just eat it straight with a spoon or roll it into bite-sized balls for a quick and easy grab-and-go snack. This peanut butter protein cookie dough is creamy, rich, and super satisfying, while being packed with protein. It's the perfect balance of sweet and savory with a smooth peanut butter base and a hint of vanilla. Whether you enjoy it by the spoonful or rolled into snack-sized bites, it's a quick and delicious protein boost that you can enjoy anytime. Now this next recipe has a unique twist that makes it super fluffy, creamy, and also a bit healthier. This is our cottage cheese protein cookie dough. For this one, we're going to need a blender or food processor. First, let's start with 1 cup of cottage cheese. I'm using 2% fat here, but any fat percentage will work. Cottage cheese gives the dough a smooth, whipped texture that's packed with protein. It's lower in fat and calories than butter, and has a neutral taste which makes it perfect for a creamy cookie dough base. Let's add this to our blender, give it a blend until smooth, and then set it aside. Next, into our mixing bowl, let's add 1 cup of blanched almond flour, or if you prefer, you can use oat flour or heat-treated all-purpose flour just like I showed earlier. To that, add 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 cup of protein powder. Again, plant-based or casein protein work best here for the texture. Give it all a good mix. And if you want to skip the protein powder, just swap in an extra 1/4 cup of flour instead. Let's then add in our blended cottage cheese from earlier, along with 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup or honey. Again, you can adjust the sweetness level to your liking. Now mix the wet and dry ingredients together until everything is well combined. If the dough feels too wet, just add a little more flour, 1 tablespoon at a time until it thickens up. The texture here will be a bit softer than the other recipes, which is totally normal. That's what gives it that whipped, creamy feel. Then all you have to do is add in your toppings. I'm using half a cup of mini dark chocolate chips here. Just stir them in until they're evenly mixed, and that's it. You can enjoy this right away, but since this cottage cheese version is softer in texture, I really recommend chilling it in the fridge for at least an hour or even longer if you can. It really makes a big difference in both the texture and the flavor. Once it's chilled, just grab a spoon and dig in. This cottage cheese protein cookie dough is soft, creamy, and packed with protein. The cottage cheese gives it a smooth, whipped texture that's totally different than the other recipes. But because it's so soft, it doesn't really hold together well enough to mold and shape into balls. But honestly, it's so rich, creamy, and delicious that I love eating it straight from the spoon. This is made with simple, nutritious ingredients, and you can always switch up the mix-ins to make it your own. It's a lighter, healthier twist on cookie dough that's made without butter, but still super tasty, unique, and satisfying. This last recipe is a go-to flavor of mine when I'm looking for something extra rich and chocolatey. This is our triple chocolate cookie dough. First, in a mixing bowl, let's add half a cup or 1 stick of unsalted butter that's been softened at room temperature, along with half a cup of packed brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of white sugar. Cream these ingredients together using a hand or stand mixer until smooth and well combined. And again, if you don't have a mixer, no worries, you can totally do this manually with a spatula too. Next, we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of milk and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract to bring in that rich, sweet vanilla flavor. Give that a quick mix and then set it aside. Then using a separate bowl, we're going to combine our dry ingredients with 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 cup of oat flour. Or you can also swap in almond flour or heat-treated all-purpose flour like I showed earlier as a 1-to-1 substitute if you prefer. Give it all a good mix until it's well combined. Now let's add our dry ingredients into the bowl with our wet ingredients and mix everything together until it forms a rich chocolatey dough. If the dough feels too crumbly, just add in a bit of extra milk, 1 tablespoon at a time until it comes together. Or if it feels too soft, mix in a bit more flour. Once we're happy with the texture, it's time for the toppings. I'm using 1/4 cup of mini dark chocolate chips and 1/4 cup of mini white chocolate chips, but feel free to use whatever chocolate mix-ins you like. Just fold them in until they're evenly distributed throughout the dough. And that's it! You can grab a spoon and dig in right away while it's still soft, or chill it in the fridge for about 30 minutes to give it time to firm up and for the flavors to deepen and develop. Eat it by the spoonful or roll it into bite-sized balls for an easy grab-and-go treat. This triple chocolate cookie dough is a rich and decadent treat that satisfies any chocolate craving. With cocoa powder and both white and dark chocolate chips, this creamy chocolatey dough has an incredibly smooth texture with a delightful crunch. A total dream for chocolate lovers. Whether you enjoy it chilled or freshly made, this one always hits the spot. I hope this video gave you some fun and easy ideas for making your own no-bake edible cookie dough at home. Whether you're in the mood for a rich, indulgent treat or a more nutritious, protein-packed option, these recipes can be customized to suit your own tastes and preferences and come together in just minutes. You can enjoy them straight from the spoon, roll them into bite-sized snacks, or even use them as a topping for yogurt or ice cream. If you decide to give these a try, I'd love to hear what you think. Until next time, thanks for watching. If you'd like to watch more, click here for another video. And if you enjoy my content, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.